by making films, and he really had a lot of energy, and I guess there's the other Stevie Wonder, not the one who was here tonight. But,
Michael J. Fox once came dangerously close to losing his life on a movie set. And strangely, this incident is rarely discussed. While filming Back to the Future Part 3, a hanging stunt went terribly wrong when the rope tightened too much, cutting off blood flow to his brain. He dangled unconscious for several seconds before the director realized what had gone wrong. Though the accident was frightening, it was nothing compared to the private struggle Fox was already enduring. By that time, he was pushing through exhausting 18-hour workdays while keeping a devastating medical diagnosis hidden from nearly everyone. The immense pressure he carried nearly broke him, both physically and emotionally. Looking back, the truth about what he endured during those years would change the way people saw his entire career. Michael Andrew Fox entered the world on June 9, 1961. In Edmonton, Alberta, his father William was a career soldier serving in the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals, while his mother, Phyllis, worked as a payroll clerk and nurtured a quiet love for acting. His childhood balanced the rigid structure of military life with the spark of creativity he inherited from his mother. Growing up as what many call an army brat, Michael's life was one of constant relocation because of his father's 25-year military service. The family packed up and moved time and time again, living in places such as North Bay and Chilliwack. By the time Michael reached his preteen years, he had already cycled through 5 different cities. These frequent moves forced him to adjust quickly, sharpen his ability to read people, and rely on humor to make new friends. Although the lifestyle wasn't always easy, it played a crucial role in shaping the sharp wit and adaptability that later defined his acting. When his father retired from the military in 1971, the family finally settled in Burnaby, British Columbia. For the first time, Michael experienced stability just as he was entering the years that would shape his identity. Like many Canadian boys, his first dream was to become a professional ice hockey player. Inspired by stars such as Bobby or Michael, threw himself wholeheartedly into the sport. He was fast, determined, and gave every ounce of energy to the game. However, as his teammates continued to grow taller and stronger, Michael's growth plateaued, and he eventually stopped at just 5'4". His smaller stature made competing at a professional level nearly impossible. The realization was crushing, and it forced him to abandon his NHL aspirations and search for a new path, one where size wouldn't hold him back. That path revealed itself in an unexpected place. Though he had been teaching himself to play guitar and performing in small garage bands, Michael's real turning point came in high school when he discovered drama class. In 1976, at only 15 years old, a teacher noticed his natural comedic timing and urged him to audition for a new Canadian Broadcasting Corporation sitcom. The show, Leo and Me, was searching for a small actor to portray a 10-year-old boy. Ironically, the very thing that had crushed his hockey dream, his short stature, suddenly became an asset. He landed the role, receiving his first professional paycheck at just 15 DOT. Walking into that audition, Michael had no idea it would change the trajectory of his life. The producers were surprised to find a teenager with so little professional experience, capable of carrying the role, but his youthful appearance combined with natural talent made him the perfect fit. Leo and Me aired for 2 seasons, with Michael playing Jaime, the youngest brother in the family. Although it wasn't a blockbuster success, the show was an important milestone. For a teenager in the late 1970s, it offered independence, financial stability, and the beginnings of a legitimate acting career. The success of Leo and Me quickly opened new doors. Between 1978 and 1979, Michael became one of Canada's most recognizable young actors. He appeared in television films such as Letters from Frank, portraying a troubled teenager dealing with his father's alcoholism. Casting directors began to take notice, and before long, They were specifically requesting him for roles a rare achievement for someone so young. He was earning around $1,500 per episode, which in today's money would be close to $6,000. By the age of 17, he was being featured in Canadian magazines as an up-and-coming star, a level of recognition most actors waited years to achieve. In 1979, he accepted a role that would change the way he viewed acting. He joined the stage production of The Shadow Box at Vancouver's Phoenix Theatre, playing Mark, a young man facing terminal cancer. The Pulitzer Prize-winning play dealt with heavy emotional themes, and at just 18, Michael was the youngest member of the cast by nearly a decade. The production ran for 6 weeks with 8 shows per week, though the pay was only $200 weekly. Far less than television. What he gained in artistic growth was priceless. Critics praised his vulnerability and emotional honesty, qualities they didn't expect from someone his age. For Michael, this was the moment he realized acting could be more than just a paycheck. It could be art, demanding raw courage and authenticity. That same year, at just 18, Michael made the boldest decision of his life. Despite having offers in Canada, including a starring role in a new show that would have paid $2,000 per episode for 22 episodes, he turned it all down to chase his dream in Los Angeles. He had only $500 in savings, no industry connections, and parents who worried he was giving up a stable career. Even his agent warned that Hollywood was unforgiving to unknowns, especially to someone of his small stature. Still, Michael was determined. He found a cramped studio apartment in West Hollywood for $200 a month and survived on bologna sandwiches and generic cereal. He dreamed of stardom, but Los Angeles initially greeted him with rejection. At first, he landed a few auditions, but by 1980, the calls had stopped. His bills piled up, and he fell $10,000 into credit card debt. Agents stopped returning his calls, and his landlord threatened eviction. At one point, he survived an entire week on just $150, relying on die-old bread for meals. In 1981, things got so desperate that he sold his sectional couch piece by piece. Just to pay rent, the first section brought in $50. Then another was sold. During this difficult stretch, he auditioned for over 100 roles and failed to secure any. The relentless rejection left him depressed and on the verge of quitting. By the summer of 1980, he was completely broke. A harsh reminder that Hollywood rejected nearly 90% of newcomers. Still, these brutal years forged resilience he didn't yet realize he would need. His first break in film came with Midnight Madness, which premiered on February 8, 1980. He played Scott Larson, a spoiled college student who appeared on screen for less than 5 minutes. The role paid $2,000 for 2 weeks of work, enough to briefly cover his $500 monthly rent. The film itself, a Disney comedy, cost $4 million to produce, but brought in only $2.9 million. During filming in 1979, Michael was so underfed that he fainted one day. Having survived on little more than rice for several days, though he had beaten out 200 hopefuls for the role, it didn't lead to further offers. He used the paycheck to cover $1,500 in debts, but by December 1980, he was broke again. Later, he admitted this was his lowest point, calling it his rock-bottom intro to Hollywood. Around this time, he was also forced to change his professional name. When he attempted to join the Screen Actors Guild in 1979, he discovered there was already a registered actor named Michael Fox. On November 15, 1979, he decided to adopt the middle initial J, inspired by actor Michael J. Pollard from Bonnie and Clyde. He avoided using his real middle initial, because he worried headlines would poke fun with phrases like Michael A. Fox. He even briefly considered using Michael J. Fox before ultimately settling on the cleaner Michael J. Fox. The official name change cost $100 in fees, money he barely had at the time. He signed the paperwork on December 1, 1979, and the name made its first on-screen appearance in Midnight Madness. Years later, he admitted he thought his birth name, Michael Andrew Fox, sounded too stiff and pretentious. What he didn't realize was that this quick decision would lead to one of the most iconic names in Hollywood history. Everything changed with one phone call on August 20th, 1982. At just 21 years old, he was $30,000 in debt, nearly evicted, and had begun selling off his last belongings to survive. His phone bill was 2 months overdue, and he almost missed the call when agent Bob Schulenberg told him he had landed the role of Alex Keaton on Family Ties. He had first auditioned in May 1982, but was so nervous he nearly ruined it. A callback on June 15th turned everything around, and he ultimately beat out 500 other actors, including Matthew Broderick, for the role. The job paid $5,000 per episode, earning him $100,000 for the first season and saving him from financial collapse. Family Ties premiered on September 22, 1982, and by 1983 was drawing 30 million viewers each week. In a 1990 interview, Michael admitted he cried with relief after landing the part, convinced he had been only days away from giving up and returning to Canada. The sitcom ran until 1989, earning him 3 consecutive Emmy Awards from 1986 to 1988, and ultimately leading to his breakthrough in Back to the Future in 1985, which grossed $381 million worldwide. That single phone call, made around 3 p.m., completely changed his life. Interestingly,